Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver's Travels is an imaginary story written by the English author Jonathan Swift in 1726. The story is a political satire that is related to the rights of the individual, democracy, and the regime. The story's protagonist is the surgeon doctor Gulliver, who travels across extraordinary lands in which he meets people living in bizarre societies and encounters even more bizarre incidents. The story consists of 4 parts, each of which tells the specifics of each of the 4 voyages. These voyages altogether took him 15 years to complete. And after completing them, he would go back to Britain after each voyage just to embark on the next one. Talk about a travel bug. The first voyage. Gulliver sails on board a ship heading to the east. Unfortunately, the ship crashes and is wrecked by a massive storm. Gulliver is washed ashore after the shipwreck and finds himself tied up with ropes by a race of tiny people who are 15 centimeters tall. They then take him to prison. After a while, Gulliver quickly learns their language and meets the king of their land. That land known as Lilliput, which was divided between 2 parties. The first one insists on following the tradition of their ancestors by wearing high-heeled shoes, whereas the followers of the other party prefer wearing low-heeled shoes. The emperor's grandfather, then in command of the country, commanded all Lilliputians to break their eggs on the small end first. He made this decision after breaking an egg the old way, large end first, and cutting his finger. Then the people revolted against the king, and he was forced to flee to another country named Belfiscu, which the king of Lilliput decides to attack. In great, Gulliver assists the king in taking over Belfiscu's fleet, but he refuses to take the inhabitants of that island as prisoners. As a result, the king of Lilliput decides to imprison Gulliver all over again. Gulliver then escapes to Belfiscu, where he lives for a couple of months before escaping back to the sea on an old boat. In the end, a passing British ship finds him and returns him back to Britain. The second voyage, Gulliver sets off to India, but faces a strong storm on the way and is forced to sail for land. He finds himself on a strange land called Robadingang. Try saying that 10 times as fast. Where he's found by a giant farmer. The farmer takes Gulliver with him. To his surprise, Gulliver discovers that he is in the land of the giants. No, not the baseball team, actual giants. He looked as if he's 15 centimeters tall. Compared to these giants, judging from Gulliver's shoe size being 10 meters, insects, birds, and dogs were all larger than him. Cats were even the size of mules. The farmer presents Gulliver to his daughter as a gift, whom she keeps as a toy. What kind of toy exactly? After that, he's given to the queen, where he explains to her and to the king the royal regimes in Britain and Europe. The king is not happy with Gulliver's accounts of Europe, so he orders sending him back to Britain. Yeah, they sent him back. Over the border. The third voyage. Gulliver sails east, where he's attacked by pirates and is marooned close to a desolate rocky island near India. Fortunately, he's rescued by the flying island of Laputa, a kingdom devoted to the arts of music and mathematics, where scientists live. Since when were scientists involved in arts and music? Must be pretty hip living with them. The name of this kingdom is, wait for it, Balini de Barbie. No, it has nothing to do with Barbie the doll. In which Gulliver sees the Grand Academy and witnesses the role of scientists there who can hear the sounds made by stars. Well, they do say that stars are made out of gas, but that's a different story. And uncover political conspiracies by examining the excrement of suspicious persons. Grabbing someone's poop? That's suspicious to me. Gulliver awaits a trader who can take him to Japan. While waiting for a passage, Gulliver takes a short side trip to the island of Glubdip. Well, you try saying it. In Japan, Gulliver meets the emperor, after which he returns back to Britain. The fourth voyage. On this voyage, Gulliver is involved in a dispute between the sailors and the captain, and after keeping him contained for some time, they resolve to leave him on a remote island where he comes upon a race of hideous, deformed, and savage humanoid creatures called Yahoos. Yeah, they got Yahoos. Even there. And it's not the Wild, Wild West. There he meets horses that speak the language of Hoyhunhuns. If you say it really fast, it sounds like hummus, which means the perfection of nature. See, these guys have good taste. They love hummus. These horses are the rulers of the island. Gulliver comes to admire the Hoyhunhuns. He's got good taste, especially when comparing them to humans and the Yahoos who pose a threat to civilization. Hoyhunhuns rule that Gulliver is a danger to their civilization and expel him. Man, this guy just loves getting kicked out of places, huh? He's then rescued by a Portuguese ship and heads back to Britain, which they did that with Columbus.